Good day, ladies and gents, my name is Helso, the bearded Balkan blabbermouth, and I'm DiscussThing, and I am officially back. I haven't uploaded almost anything aside from the streams in the past few days because I was actually pretty sick. My voice was completely gone, like I couldn't even whisper properly, let alone even speak, which was very frustrating to me. But after some therapy, some meds, and a lot of rest on my voice, I'm almost back at 100%, but I'm pretty sure I can dish out some videos right now. And the first video that I wanted to put out was to kind of do a little bit of an overview of the whole Witcher 4 situation. Now, before this video continues, I just want to say something. The last video that I did, which was for the Witcher 4 trailer, I did say some stuff that are not entirely accurate, which I found a little bit afterwards. The portion of the lore that has successful female Witcher trials is not entirely canon. We only know that by the lore in the books, there were only several tries, but they were unsuccessful entirely with the female. And I'll get to that. I just want to clear that out. I did write on X about this situation because I also had a stream with the 40k Empress where I said that I was not right and I apologize for it. But on the topic on Witcher 4, I do want to kind of give my more in-depth opinion with this video because I have seen in the past week a lot of people simply going from one end to the other, being very far into it and just either wanting to boycott the game as a whole right now or just praising it as the next big thing. And from what I've read, both things are plausible at this point. We have a lot of things that are not okay with CD Projekt Red as a whole currently, which is something that I will discuss in this video. But we also have some things that I think a lot of people are not entirely getting when it comes to the plot that we're being presented for the game in and of itself, which is also something that I will get to. But first, let's go with what we have as news and as development. The first thing that it was very concerning, and it came out a day or two after my last video, was that the Witcher 4 EP admits CD Projekt Red is aiming for new players and people who do not play our games. It's never a good thing to say that. We have seen so many instances when these words have been spoken. We want new audience, new players. We want to bring new players to the next game. It's never a good thing to do that, because when you're continuing a franchise, you want to have everyone who has played the previous instances of that franchise to come back and just be the backbone of that game, to experience new stuff from something that they loved. And if new people come along, that's gonna be great, and probably a lot of new people will come when they see streams with the old time fans playing the games or streaming the games, posting videos and everything. But you do need the core audience. You always need the core audience, the people who have been there since the beginning. And when you read something like this, it's an absolutely damning thing to have as a statement from the company. In an interview with IGN discussing The Witcher 4 following the release of its announcement trailer at the Game Awards, Mitrega, which is the EP for CD Projekt Red, we said we want to aim for the new players. She elaborated the wider audience and also the people that know the franchise but who maybe do not play our games. Yeah, okay, they know, but if they weren't interested until now, what makes you think that they will be interested with the new game? How are you gonna present it as something entirely new when you have 3 games, you have a lot of material behind it? How are you gonna present? If you make an entirely different game that is not connected to the previous instances, then you're just ruining the whole sequence. We have some comments from the game director who says that we create story-driven games, so we want to make sure that buy games for story, they'll be able to experience the story. Yeah, those are pretty standard stuff that he says. And here he adds that in regards to the story, Kalemba claims that the company wants to put player agency at the center, and that's seemingly why they chose to make Ciri the main protagonist. Now, I'm one of the people who doesn't have any issues with Ciri being the protagonist. I read the books, and the whole sequence of the books is Geralt and Ciri oriented. You have Geralt, who does have his path and he is the central figure in the books, but you also have Ciri, who's a central figure, and throughout every book you realize that this is about Ciri maturing and engaging on her own path, and Geralt being there like the main character, but also bringing up the next main character. And you also see that in Witcher 3, when you find Ciri, the story ends with her and the choices that you have made for the ending that includes her. She's not the main protagonist, but she is the goal of the main protagonist to develop the next main protagonist. That's my view from the games and the books. And Ciri being now the main protagonist with her own story, with us having seemingly the ending when she becomes Witcher, which to me and a buttload of other fans is the only logical ending that we can have from the books, is simply okay. Everything falls into pieces on that regard. I am someone who doesn't have any issues. We want to let players try to define her. She's about to form her own codex, on her own terms. The way she actually deals with the monsters, the way she deals with quests, the adventures, is her own unique way, which does sound something like an enhanced Paragon Renegade from Mass Effect, depending on what you want to be as a person, which, again, nothing wrong with that if done smartly. This is something that I want to put out. If it's done smartly, whatever they say might be absolute gold, but if it's done poorly, then no matter how good of an idea you have, you will fuck it up. That's just the raw truth of the matter. And from here I want to jump to the very, very interesting thing that was circling around and still is. This article, again from John F. Trent in Fandom Pulse. CD Projekt Red's franchise and lore designer is a former games journalist who wants to push gamers. And I'll just quickly jump to some of the screenshots here. This is Cian Mar or Cian Maher. Don't know how you pronounce this name. Sorry about that. We have his LinkedIn experience. He was a games consultant for 2 years. He was associate editor. He was features editor. He was an editor as a whole, freelance games consultant, and lore designer at CD Projekt Red for 1 year. So he has that experience for him, and we see a lot of his tweets from 2022 which are a bit suggestive in my opinion. Him responding to some person that chose law instead of dealing with gamers. This is weird stuff, but like in and of itself up until this point doesn't seem all that weird. This is a pretty fun one. You have him complaining about gamers who are complaining about how good game journalists have it, and saying if you think this job is incredibly well paid and easy, why don't you do it yourself? Which, coincidentally or not, is basically right around the time that a lot of commentary channels started to really rise up from 2020, and from that time you can see a lot of people having their content boost up with just social commentary, games commentary, and a lot of journalism related activities. And here, yeah, exactly, the gamers are already bad enough, which is a little bit funny because this comment in and of itself, again, is not that bad, and if it's taken just as something individual, it might have some meaning. And then we have one of the most idiotic stuff that he replied to. You have this person saying in 2020 I want muscles so I can effectively punch gamers, and also so I can carry cute people and dogs of any size easily. You have him going, I didn't realize until this tweet, but it's now also what I want, and it's not clear what he wants, and you have this person asking him what exactly does it mean, and of course he responds to punching gamers together. He also talks about talking fans. This is in relation to Rings of Power, of course. Nobody cares about the adaptation he wrote. Why do you care about any adaptation? Then the only reason you're upset about Rings of Power is because critiquing it allows you to pretend your virtue and bigotry have value. Again, this is the narrative that was circling around a lot when Rings of Power came out with Season 1 and Season 2, that everyone who critiques the lore and everything is just a hater. He just doesn't care about the Tolkien, and that people like us just don't really want anything but to hate and pile hate on it, which as much as I want to say everyone has their own opinion, you have the right to your own opinion, but you also have the right to have your opinion commented as absolutely idiotic and stupid, which it was. And there are a bunch of other tweets which I will not get through the whole because this is not just about him. I want to jump to an article on That Park Place from yesterday, which says CDPR admits original author Andrzej Sapkowski was not consulted on series Witcher role in Witcher 4. Now, just to make things clear, Sapkowski was not involved in the Witcher games almost as a whole. He sold the rights to CD Projekt Red for a certain amount. He was certain that the games will not do well, so he saw it as a win at that time from what I've read in articles and interviews. And after the games became a massive hit and massively successful in terms of profit and everything, he was not exactly receiving it well. He was very upset about that, but he had sold the rights to the books, to the story, and he wasn't really hired as a consultant or anything about the games, the first 3 games, and now with the 4th game. So this is not something unusual. And what I want to focus on this article, because the article does explain like they have talks with Andrzej Sapkowski. He's not exactly involved, but they do discuss some stuff with him. They meet with him at some points as Kalemba. And here we have, despite this claim of a great relationship, the team's decision to fully transform Ciri into Witcher stands at odds with established lore. So the article posts some stuff that were discussed with the people from CD Projekt Red, and this is one of the main things that I would like to discuss in this video. What I said in the beginning of the video is that I did get some stuff wrong about lore-wise with the Witcher trailer, especially when I was having the stream with the 40k Empress. But it's important to also include one other thing which I think is really important when you're having a discussion about Witcher 4, and that is that the games themselves are not exactly lore accurate. I mean, they are a continuation of the books, which is an independent continuation because the rights were completely owned by CD Projekt Red, and they did include a whole bunch of lore, and pretty much the entire world building was based on the lore. However, some of the things that happen in the games, some of the character portrayals are not exactly up to lore. It never claimed to be the absolute lore accurate franchise. It was inspired, it was respectful to the lore, etc. And I don't know if someone will say that I'm simping for the game with what I'm about to say, but I just want to point some stuff out in just for the sake of having a very well-informed argument. In Witcher 3, Yennefer performs a partial trial of the grasses on Uma. It's not a full trial, but it is partial. He got the herbs, he got the magic spell and all of that. He didn't get the mutations, he didn't get the chemical mutagens because it wasn't the full ritual. And it was performed with an entirely different purpose. And it worked in that instance. So Ciri being a witcher, like an actual mutated witcher, once again, if done smartly, can be achieved through storytelling. Again, the games are not exactly lore accurate. Yes, you have lore, but you also have a lot of things that were not exactly in the lore or were a little bit changed in the previous games. So you can technically have this here as well. You can have Ciri becoming a witcher through, let's say, a new technique, or from Yennefer developing even more the trial grass after she had performed it partially once. You can have some lost knowledge from the first experiments with female witchers that failed. Combined with that, there are a lot of things that you can put in the story that would make sense, and that is something that I truly believe that needs to be in a conversation, and not just outright say yes or say no. It can happen. Just examine it and see if they do it smartly, because if it's done smartly, then okay. But on the same hand, CD Projekt Red can fuck up a lot of things right now, and I can already see how they can fuck up with that lore director being the absolute deplorable human being that he is. I do believe that we can get an absolute slop of a game that is just going to be very pushy, very political, very demeaning to the gamers, very disrespectful to everything and just be only inserts and poorly written stories and everything. That is absolutely something that can happen. That is the fear of every Witcher fan, including me. I will say again, I didn't see any of that in the trailer. The trailer looked fine to me. It was good. Ciri looked fine. Yes, she looked older. She didn't look wokeified or mentioned or whatever a lot of people want to say about her. She looked very good. I don't have an issue with her being the protagonist. I only care if it's done proper. Like, if you see Witcher 3, if you just run the game through your head as you have played it, every little book that you read that gives you just a little piece of side lore that it's not really important to gameplay, but it's just a little bit of a filling the gaps with the storyline, with official lore from the books, with world building, with some story about, let's say, higher vampires or the elves or anything, from all the side quests, from the world building, from the casual conversations that you have with some people in the village, from what you overhear, from things that you see that people do. Every little bit that was put in that game was so in place and was so well placed and so amazingly thought of that only served to make the game full and beautiful. That was a game that was thought of by gamers, by developers who had one thing as a goal, and that is to please gamers, to create the best thing they're capable of in terms of providing you with a good gaming experience. And they succeeded. Witcher 3 is still a very much played game. It's still active. It's still one of the best games out there in terms of gameplay and everything else. It's still getting mods, upgrades, visual upgrades. It's something that will live on for decades more, in my opinion, especially if a lot of people continue to take care of it. And that's what we need with Witcher 4. If they manage to just get that passion that they had with Witcher 3 and put it into Witcher 4, take their time, write a good story, listen to the gamers, and just focus on what is important in a video game, then I think Witcher 4 will be an amazing addition with everything. And everyone who's afraid or who has any gripes with the storyline or with what's what and how Ciri is a Witcher or where is Geralt or whatever your problem current with The Witcher is, it will disappear because it would be amazing. If not, then we will receive another Dragon Age The Velguard. We'll get an absolute shameful representation of everything that we have waited for, and we'll get a continuation of the series that is an absolute disgrace on every possible level. And we'll have to wait and see which direction the company will go. I do hold my breath for this game because I'm a huge Witcher fan. I have waited for so long for a new installment, and I don't want TV series or a bad game to be the last we see. So if CD Projekt Red does listen to feedback and does want to do the gamers proud and does want to explain everything properly to gamers, to tie every loose end that was commented on by the gamers, then I do feel like that they will have something great. And if they don't, we'll have another slop. We'll vote with our wallets, and it will be probably the end of another studio or another franchise in a disgraceful manner, victims of the modern movement and the narrative. So with that said, fingers crossed, I guess. Thank you for watching this video up until this point. If you did, if you enjoy my content, please press the like and subscribe button on this video and press the join button if you want to support me directly by becoming a member. And if you want to support me and my wife's cause to help homeless animals and animals in shelter, especially through these cold winter times, go to the Patreon link down in the description below and become a member there. 100% of the proceeds go to helping homeless animals and animals in shelters with everything we can. Thank you very much for watching me. My name was Helzo, I was DiscussThing, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers and stay fresh.